Get rolling. As people want to jump in, they can jump in. So we'll just get started. We'll do first. I just want to say thanks, Dan, for taking an hour out of your day to do this for us, man. It's awesome.
Absolutely, no problem at all.
Great. It's a great view of your elbow. So I just figured. So we have some questions that we're all going to go through, guys. That are based on the ones that you sent in, and Dan and Chris and I worked through them the other day. But just so we kind of have an idea of who all is in, and we can put names and faces and have a conversation rather than just kind of talk. Why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves real quick to Dan, if you want to start, Noam.
Hi, Dan. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Hey.
Owner of TS Fitness. Read a number of your books, and it's an honor to be sitting here speaking with you. I've been on the program, the Strength Faction, for since the beginning. It's been incredible. So really looking forward to having a great conversation today.
Thanks for hopping on.
How about you, Wes?
Yo, what's up? Also a pleasure to be here. I'm out here in Iraq. It's actually pretty nice out. I'm pumped to be here. I told all my buddies down at Rebel, like Mike and them, that I was doing this, and they were so jealous. Anyway, I'm happy to be here.
Where are you?
Got my
really
notebook ready.
Not in Iraq.
Oh, no, I'm in Chirac. I'm in Chicago.
Oh, Chirac. Cool. How about you, Andy?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I still haven't figured this thing out, but I don't think I got my video working. But in any event, my name's Andy McCloy. I'm the owner of BCI Sports Performance and Fitness. Really appreciate you taking time, Coach John, to talk with us. I've read just about everything you put out and bought your DVDs, and I'm just here to learn, man. I'm excited.
Well, welcome, man. Welcome.
We got a video, Andy.
You got a video, Andy, and now it's your time. Okay. So we have 5 questions that we're gonna run through. Wes, I'm sorry, man, your lunge question didn't make it. We nixed that one. So
It didn't make the cut? God damn it.
But so we're gonna start with, you know what, Wes, actually one of your questions did make it though. So and Dan was really excited to answer this one for you. So it's pretty cool. So Dan, let's start with the one. What approach do you take with new clients with a training age of 0?
Well, we talked about this one. It was a little vague. I mean, I'm looking at my notes that I worked on after that. Oddly, well, hang on. I worked on it a little bit more, and I actually tried to clean it up a little, but don't ever clean up your notes. It doesn't help at all. The biggest thing is that the best client you'll ever get in your life is untrained. So let me just go real quick. I break clients into 5 categories. The category you mentioned is number 1. It's untrained. Oh, hang on. That's serious. So client number 1 is untrained, and they're the best client you'll ever have in your life. It's what they don't have. A young lady I work with, when we were talking about ways of eating, I asked her how many diets she'd ever been on, and she said 30. I think I write about that in my book. Any advice I give her is 31. I'm going to go deeper onto that point in just a second, Todd, okay? That's really So the untrained client has never had a formal exercise program, doesn't have nutritional pushback. If you follow my saying here, they don't push back at you. When you say, I want you to be on a protein, I did Atkins. You get that? They don't have the pushback. Let's go through the other ones, and we'll come back to the untrained. D-trained, I think, are probably the worst clients. This is the used to, shoulda, coulda. This is the former high school athlete, the former cheerleader, the guy who brags about they used to have a 400-pound bench press. They used to run 140. I'll play in the NFL. Coach didn't like me. They're the worst. So no matter what they do, these are the classic pushbackers. Next, I would say, is a new one, fairly new in the industry. It's over-conditioned and under-trained, using the word trained as someone on the road to mastery. And this would be a CrossFit dropout. This would be somebody that no matter what you say, They're locked up here. They can't move their right shoulder. And when you say we're going to work on shoulder mobility, it's like, I can do 21 kicking pull-ups. Okay, yeah, I know. But you just had 9 surgeries, So they are untrained, but over-conditioned. So they can do a lot badly. The bulk of your clients coming in are dazed and confused. All right. And I write about this a lot. I probably need to write about it more. I'm on an interesting little thing right now. I'm dropping off of coffee, booze, and about 4 or 5 other things for a week. Just a short little experiment. This is mint tea. But when I tell somebody that I'm giving up coffee and booze for a week, the first place they jump to, is coffee bad? No, I didn't say coffee's bad. I said I'm giving up coffee for a week. Well, so is it good then? See, that's dazed and confused. You can go online and see that coffee is good, coffee is bad. Booze is good, red wine. I use this joke all the time. Someone wrote a thing that a glass of red wine is like an hour of exercise. So I'm good for not only my life, but for like centuries to come. I never had to train. So is red wine bad or is it good? I heard squats hurt your knees. No, the way you squat hurts your knees. I heard deadlifts hurt your back. No, the way you deadlift hurt. You follow what I'm saying? Dazed and confused. And the 5th category is next to untrained, the best you can possibly have. And the 5th category is those seeking mastery. Those who want to get better. Those who want to move better, feel better, and maybe look better. But I'm fine if it takes 10 years. I'm fine. I think of always David Emery, the 68 Olympic champion in the high intermediate hurdles, who famously took a piece of paper and figured out he wasn't as fast as the Americans or the Abuyu guy from Uganda, but he figured out that if he could extend his stride, he could have 1 stride less between each hurdle. And he did the math and figured out how, and he did. He won the 68 Olympics figuring out one less step between hurdles. Roger Bannister, famously the first guy to break the 4-minute mile, pen and paper, this is what I need to do, so this is what I'm going to focus on. So mastery of those who are seeking something, and maybe it'd be beautiful if you had a client who came in and said, I want to snatch 100 kilos. I'm at 92 kilos now. I need to add 8 kilos. I'd like to do it over a 3-year period. The thing is, you begin to saw. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah. There's a bunch of people that just kind of jump.
Those are my 5 categories. The upside of the untrained. Hey, Dave.
Hey, Dan. How you doing, buddy?
The upside of untrained is that it's easy to get untrained to the road to mastery fairly easy, because they don't have that. They're not doing this. Been there, done that. Been there, done that. I already tried that. I already tried this. So following up on your question, let me add one other important thing. All right? Remember, you're talking to a theologian here, okay? Always have to remember that. There are 2 words that we talk about, symbols. It's going to be a little bit of a detour. Stick with the point. It's kind of nice because I have my computer on my desk right now. If I said, that girl is so desk, you would have no idea what I'm talking about. Desk is what we call a steno symbol. Desk. There's only, when I say put your mug on the desk, it's funny. Mug. It depends on how I use the word mug. I see a lot of your faces. You're a bunch of ugly mugs. A dog just walked up the stairs. The girl is a dog. You train like a dog today. I beat them like dogs. Those are tensive symbols. Steno means a word has only one use. The classic tensive symbols, by the way, aren't anymore. When I first started teaching, you would use the word clown because if a clown was in a show, it could be a comedy, It could be, the sad clown, sad on the inside, happy on the outside. Honestly, now, clown in a movie basically means so you can't really use that anymore. Moon, a full moon. Is it a vampire movie? Is it a werewolf movie? Or is it Moonstruck, a love story? You follow? Here's my point. This is why it's so important. The bulk of your clients who are overconditioned, undertrained, detrained, and even dazed and confused, and probably even mastery, when they hear a word like diet, not even diet, I just screwed that up. When they hear a word like way of eating or nutritional plan or something as easy as food journal, they hear diet. They take all those words and it becomes diet. And this is something that's more important than most people think. The bulk of your clients, when they hear workout, or that's not even training session, they expect to be a sweaty glob of goo at the end. And yet the best training sessions we do at my gym are like today when people leave, it's like Mike said famously, it's funny, I feel so much better right now. But he wasn't a glob of goo, he felt better. Your clients expect workouts to make them sweaty and feel terrible. And when you say intelligent nutritional approach, they think starvation diet, right? So the upside of training an untrained person is that the untrained person won't necessarily hear, I gotta be a sweaty gob of goo. So you have a chance to teach them appropriate fundamental human movements, correctly squatting, not even worry about load. This is a farmer walk. Happy to, good to have a good day. This is how you do a press overhead. Ooh, I can feel my muscles. Right, good, right, good. I'd like you to drink 2 glasses of water a day. Oh, I can do 2 glasses of water. You follow? Because they don't have in their head that steno symbol of workout or whatever it is. Clients take all the words we use and put them into 2 tubes. Diet, which means, sacrificing, starving, giving stuff up, and workout, which means sweaty, terrible, awful. Every word you say to them, that's what they hear, no matter how you couch it. With the untrained, God bless you, you don't have to worry about that.
Any questions based on that stuff, guys?
I have a bunch of you muted. Hang on, let me unmute everyone.
We want you all to stay silent.
There was just a whole lot of weird noises going on, and I had to mute a bunch of you.
So,
A lot of wild stuff. Anybody have any questions?
so I have a question. So I guess we could only go over maybe one of them, but like all those other people that you're talking about, other than I guess the master will do whatever you say, how would you get through to those other types of clients, the untrained and the dazed and confused?
Well, that's why I do a 3-day workshop called The Art of Coaching. I'm not selling it to you. You're not going to come. But it's really hard. It's really hard. You need a big toolkit to deal with that.
Yeah.
You need and real quickly, let's go through the big 3 real fast, okay? The first and most powerful. Okay, we're gonna have to start muting now, okay?
Yep, I'm muted.
I was getting a ton of feedback on that. Sorry. The first is pain. Pain. In my life, my biggest insights in my career have been because I have thrown the discus, my best throw of my life, out of bounds. And it cost me 3 years of work. I learned a lot that day. I didn't learn jack shit on any other day that year. The best client you can possibly have is a recently divorced woman whose husband left her for another woman who's better. She's a great client. Pain is the best lever I know. And when that young lady comes and says, Dan, I kind of broke my diet today. You told me to eat 12 eggs for breakfast. I only had 11. I will put my foot on her throat and say, yeah, I saw your ex-husband and the new girlfriend. She is hot as smoke. She got an ass. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that pain and go. I got to tell you, I've coached. We won the state football championship 3 years in a row. It gets progressively harder and harder. Our fourth year was the most talented team we had. Why didn't they win? There was no pain lever to press.
There's no purpose.
So, even though pain's a good thing, if your client doesn't have it, you can't press it. That's the problem with your New Year's Day clients. The person who shows up and says, yeah, I guess I should get in shape. What should I do? Well, I want to have a food journal. Well, what's that? You take a notebook, and then you take a notebook and then you fill in what you ate. What kind of notebook? Well, here, take this one right here. Does it have a pen? Here's a pen. And I have to fill this out every day. You see, that client has no pain. You can't put your foot on their neck. The second P is prison. If I could get all your clients who want to be fat loss and I stuck them in a jail that we only fed them 2 servings of Purina Monkey Chow a day, because Purina Monkey Chow has all the nutrients a human needs, I guarantee at the end of the year, all your fat loss clients, and then we electrify the floors for about 2 hours a day so they have to dance madly, insanely for 2 hours. Come back in a year and all your fat loss goals will be there. Castaway is a great movie example. You can't legally in Utah use the prison method anymore, but I wish they could because it works. It comes down to the fourth method, and this is the tough one. I call it pounding the pavement. You can also talk walk to walk, talk to talk, or what, and this is someone I want you to look up if you don't know their work. Hey, buddy. Hi. I'm very concerned. The guy's name is the letter B, the letter J, Fogg, Fogg, BJ Fogg. And his website is tinyhabits.com. I suggest you join one of his Tiny Habit cadres. It's all free. It's all good. You find the tiniest, his point is hilarious. He says, it's okay. He says, if you want to start flossing every day, don't make the habit of trying to floss all your teeth. Floss one tooth. And when you floss the tooth, you take your hands and you clap like this and you go, yes! Oddest thing in the world is that system works. I brag about this client all the time. We lost 100 pounds in 1 year. And when he first came to me, he was completely on the wrong side of everything. He wanted to have that test tube of strict diet and the test tube of running a marathon a day. And for the first month, his habit was he had to drink 2 glasses of water a day. I was his accountability buddy. I called him up at 9 o'clock every night. And the joke is that the phone would ring 9 times because when he heard the phone go off at 9, he had to get 2 glasses of water in him before he picked up. So he said, yes, I did. At the end of the year, he ran a half marathon, 100 pounds lighter. That's how most of us, we can turn the dial with most people. Listen, I hate to be so cruel, but that's how it works. I'd like to say, here, I'm going to reach my pocket and, the fairy dust, and here's the thing. The more screwed up, the worse your client is physically, the more detrained your client is physically, the more likely it is your client thinks that they have a ton of self-discipline. The more screwed up your client is, the more convinced they are that they can just go turn on a light switch and have a massive amount of life change immediately. Okay? And they don't. They've got to build up their self-discipline. And you don't have very much self-will and discipline anyway. But you need to grab a hold of the habit of 2 glasses of water a day. Maybe next month is floss your tooth, your teeth. Maybe the next month is and this was month 2 with him, was we found a parking space in our very large parking lot that he had to park in. So it was probably a 1/4 mile walk to his office in the morning and a 1/4 mile walk at back. But how was I able to be his accountability buddy is I just looked for his car every day. If I didn't see it there, I would do the whole guilty Irish mother thing to him. Okay? I don't know how helpful that was, but that's the facts, Jack. I mean, it's not as good as you hope it would be. You don't have, all you guys here don't have self-discipline either. You put yourself in a situation that allows you to have self-discipline. When I was a high school football player at 1:30, every adult, we had 92 adult males in my high school, walk over to the locker room and put on our equipment, our gear. And then coach blew whistles and we ran back and forth for a while. Coach blew whistle, we hit the ground, got up. On Friday nights, coach blow the whistle, I would start or stop depending on what the whistle meant. I didn't have any. My mom made me breakfast, my mom made me dinner, the school made me lunch. How much self-discipline did I have? I didn't have any. But I thought I had a ton because I played high school football and kept my grades up. When you leave high school and life hits you in the face, then you find out how much self-discipline you have. Good enough?
Yeah.
Awesome. So I have everybody muted. If you guys want to talk, there's an unmute button on your screen, but just ask that you would mute yourself when you're done because there were some crazy sounds coming through. So
yeah. It was.
Any questions based on that before we move on to the next topic?
That was great. Just want to say thank you for that answer. It was awesome.
It's not as sexy as you probably hoped, right?
No. I mean, I deal with general population. A lot of Gen Pop, in the center of Manhattan, people are babied all the time. So, they need to hear that. And I've done that to a couple of clients and seen some good results. So that was good.
Hey, the best clients you'll have are the ones that do the tiny steps. Those will be the best. Those are the ones on the road to mastery. Anybody who wants a quick fix, it's just, but the industry offers you quick fixes. Just turn on the TV, go to any hotel room in the nation, just look at the channels in the morning. It's all quick fixes stuff. I got rid of my this, my that, my this, and using Bob's, day program.
What was that word association sternum symbol?
Didn't hear it. What?
Was that word association thing? Was that sternum symbol whenever they misconstrue what you're saying?
Okay, so
sternum symbol, right?
Steno. S-T-E-N-O. That means one. And it's funny because it's in the word if you reverse.
Steno. Got it.
Steno. But it's O-N-E-T-S, one. And the other word is tensive. Okay? I know a lot of you might not be up on your symbology, but we'll have a class after this one on
that. Cool. Any other questions based on that, guys, before we move on? Nope. Cool. All right. So next one. So this is a good one. Well, it kind of handles. Actually, you know what? Fuck it. We're skipping that one. We kind of handled that already. It was about nutrition modifications, but you did that with the zero.
Kind of smoked that one up. Yeah.
Yeah. You got that. That's all right. That's good. So here's a good one. So what are the 2 to 3 things you focused on to build long-lasting and trusting and mutually beneficial relationships with your clients?
I was hoping for another one. Okay, we'll do the other one. We'll do the one on mistakes too, won't we?
What's that?
We'll do the one on mistakes.
You want to skip around? We can jump to those if you're ready for those.
Would you mind that one? I don't want to miss that one.
No big deal.
I think that is actually a really good question.
Okay.
We'll come back to that one. Don't worry. Okay, we'll come back to that.
Yeah, no worries. So let's jump to this one.
See, I think, and when I looked at it, the question about biggest mistakes fitness trainers make.
Yeah.
I think that one leads us right into that question.
Okay. Perfect. That makes better then. So this one, unfortunately, is from a guy that's not even in here in the Q&A.
Shit for him.
Yeah, it sucks. So you keep your programming very simple, doing variations of push, pull, hinge, etc. Can you talk about 1 to 2 things that coaches and trainers overemphasize?
Yeah. This is going to bother a lot of you. But number one is going to bother a lot of you. And you guys can hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, because the heater just kicked on. Okay. I'll tell you straight up. Reps, sets, load, rest periods. When I get an email about rest periods, my first thought is, this person's a jackass. Doesn't really know about strength. How long does it take to get over a heavy deadlift? Weeks. Weeks. The nationals in weightlifting, the way I train, weeks. So if you're counting reps, like I said in one of my books, hire a kindergartner to do it because it will give them value. They'll learn something. Counting reps, counting sets, worry about load. The number one mistake most personal trainers make is that they get caught up on this, I wouldn't want to call it voodoo, but this spreadsheet analysis that the human being is a spreadsheet, you know? And if I just do 3 sets of 5 with this load, then this magic will happen. And there's some truth to that, but there's no question there's truth to it. But we get caught up on it too much. In our gym, we do, like yesterday, we did 3 minutes of clean and press. Well, someone's going to raise their hand and say, well, what was the load? Whatever the person picked up. Well, how many sets you do? Whatever they did. Well, how many reps was that? I don't know. Did you count reps? No. Well, what kind of workout is that? A really good workout is what it is. A good training session. If you feel something, if you're getting to you're going, stop. You're going to hurt yourself, for God's sakes. Switch arms and keep going. I think first and foremost, that's the biggest problem. This idea that this magic little workout, and trust me, I'm a professional because, trust me, I am a professional because I show you this. See this here? It's a clipboard. And so I must know what I'm doing because, damn it, I have a clipboard and I don't have it, but my name's on my shirt, okay? So since my name's on my shirt and I have a clipboard, I must know what I'm doing. And that's by far, I think, the biggest mistake we make. This overemphasis on counting reps, counting sets, worrying about the load, rest period. You should be focused on mastery of movement. You should be focused on correcting the movement. You should be constantly assessing the client. Constant and vigilant assessment of the client. If the rep looks poor, stop. If it's obvious that something else needs work on that. You might have this great program. Don't get addicted to the program. The program means nothing. It's all about the goal. By God, could you imagine being the captain of a ship? Okay, we're sailing to Bermuda, but damn, the winds is blowing us to England. I don't care. I said we're sailing to Bermuda, but the wind's blowing this way. I don't care. Well, that's just not the way the world works, man. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is the issue of enough is enough. Now, this comes up more on my side with the strength coach side and the track and field coach. But you've got to learn that enough is enough. In track and field, the hardest lesson to learn is that my athlete is now strong enough. In football, my athlete is flexible enough, mobile enough. Enough is enough. It's a little different on the personal training side, but, if you're dialing down someone's calories, there comes a point where they're not going to follow it. If you're going to up their intensities, there's going to be a point where they're going to cheat. We're talking about that today with hardstyle kettlebell stuff, where you keep raising the standards until people start cheating, and yet we're pretending that they're not cheating. You follow? Enough is enough. That's why with swings, I'm such a big fan of 10, 15, and 20 hard reps in the swing. I'm a huge fan of 2, 3, 5 reps in the pressing movements and the squatting movements, because you get to a point where enough is enough. The third one, which was brilliant, which I forgot. Let me kind of slide back to number one real quick. we were talking about this the other day, and I thought it was pretty good, is that the reason young personal trainers, and there's nothing wrong with that, fall into this love affair with reps, sets, load, and rest period is because I was describing it like how the news media looks at questions of theology that come up from all religious traditions. You can see the way that Islam is covered in the news lately, how badly the media does it, because they don't know how to deal looking at theology. So we describe theology in a way as it's a swimming pool filled with dense, thick fog, and you got to find your way out. Well, in the middle of this swimming pool, the media finds this wonderful little rope, and this rope gets them out of the pool. And that rope, when they talk about Catholics, is sex. And, you can have the biggest document the world's ever seen, and the media will call me up and say, would you please explain the Catechism of the Catholic Church? And I'll say, well, it's the tradition, blah, 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 blah. And they'll go, okay, what's the church think about masturbation? We're against masturbation. Headlines tomorrow. Catholic Church against masturbation. Okay? When you fall, as a personal trainer, when you get in trouble, you fall back to that rope in the fog. And I guess I'd be careful about how I use my hands right now. We'll go this way. This rope in the fog, and that rope is 5 sets of 5 with 2.3 minutes rest at a load of 119.7%. We fall in love with that. When you read Wendler's 5-3-1 program, he made it as clear as you humanly can. How many books has he written to answer all the questions that come up? 6 on one program. If you go to that Starting Strength place, it's a pretty simple program. Most people can't do it 1 week without emailing in. It says I should do 5 sets of 3, but I can only get 5 sets of 2. What should I do? Well, you went too heavy, obviously. So that's why we do that. The third thing, and it's the third thing you fall into as a personal trainer, the problem, I think it's pandemonium, which is the capital of hell in Milton, or was it Dante? Chaos. You fall, excuse me. I was talking the other day with the two guys, Todd, and we were talking, and I talked about a good friend of mine, Rick Bojack. And Rick Bojack is a good coach, great coach here in Utah. And I asked him one day about how does he win so much? And he looked at me, he pointed, he looked at me, and he said, you can't get bored. And I thought, what do you mean by me? Your athletes and your clients don't mind looking better, feeling better. If little Edna showed up flabby, and now her ass is so tight that she walks around in a thong bikini at the retirement home, she's okay with your training program. Okay, she's happy with what you're doing. Don't you get bored. I got to tell you, doing the fundamental human movements with appropriate reps and sets and load is boring as shit, to quote my daughter. But as I wanted to tell her, you're also the state shot put champion and a Division I athlete. Yes, I know, but it was boring as shit. Your education's been paid for. Okay, it's going to be a battle that you don't have to fight with your client. It's a battle you have to fight with yourself. Honestly, as much as I thought it was idiotic after 6 weeks, the Nautilus approach of you're going to do this exercise, then slide on, had some value because this is what we do. And the problem, of course, with Nautilus and curves and some of the others is that there is no improvement. So that really is what a problem. I mean, you just get flatlined. And it might be the higher flatline, but you're still flatlined. Okay, was that okay?
Yeah. Guys, questions on that? And if you haven't spoken yet and you unmute yourself, go ahead and introduce yourself if you ask a question. Nothing. Crickets. Mute button. Okay.
Who actually one
Okay. Well, all right.
who is I just unmuted you. Who's 617-470?
It's Colin.
What's up,
Oh,
Colin?
Colin, that was your answer.
Yeah. Yeah, you said I wasn't here, but I am here. I
Oh.
just had to call in instead of the computer, so.
Okay. Well, good. That worked out then.
We'll stop making fun of
Yeah,
you
that's
then.
awesome.
All right. Well, I'm the asshole. Okay. So then I guess you kind of answered it, and maybe we could come back less obliquely. And then, what elements are not being emphasized that should be emphasized?
Well, again, let me make sure I look at my notes real quick. There's nothing there. Oh, yeah, I think so. Yeah, I could have answered this without looking at my notes. Number one, I go to my grave on this one. The most ignored thing is seeking mastery. And I always use in my slides some pictures of track and field athletes that when you just look at it, just looking at the picture, they're good. Because it looks right, so it flies right. And I think that we've really gotten away from mastery in our field, in the fitness industry. And it's been that way for a long time. Oddly, the person I blame, the book I blame, is Education of a Bodybuilder by Arnold. That's the book I blame for turning us all into Frankenstein. There was never upper body, lower body back before that kind of, split training showed up. But it was funny because Arnold and Frank Zane and those guys, really believed in mastery. They believed that doing a concentration curl with your full mind and soul in it would make a more beautiful muscle. And they were constantly looking at their shape. So in bodybuilding is there, within the physique, especially on the female side, now it's who can be the driest person up there with the least amount of body fat with the biggest bolt-ons, that's not mastery. I mean, you go back to the early 80s and you look at some of the early Miss Olympias, and you wouldn't mind walking into a bar with Miss Olympia in here. I'm not so sure that's true anymore. And I should have said that out loud. But when I get to people who want to do the Olympic lifts, sometimes they are so numbers driven or driven into this or that. They forget the importance of that. Especially with the Olympic lifts, you have very few failures that you can actually have in your career, because the failures is where you get all the surgeries. Those are the failures or the injuries come from. So first and foremost, we mastery. Second is two things: authentic squatting technique, a true squat. That's not an accordion. That's not a good morning. Good morning. And then number two, loaded carries. I'm amazed still that so many people aren't utilizing sleds and prowlers and farmer walks, where you can make such an impact on your client's work capacity by just doing those simple movements. If you want fat loss, push a sled. Don't treadmill. I mean, you could have the best fat loss clinic in the world by just, people pull up and then they have to push their cars into the parking lot, into the right place. There you go. There's your new gym. Get all your fat loss clients to work at the Mirage in Las Vegas, and they push cars in, and you give them a nice little tip, and, for 8 hours a day, you have to push cars up a ramp. You'll lose body fat. You'll lose a lot of it. And we still kind of ignore it. What was my third point there? Oh yeah, this is unique to personal trainers, and this is a tough one. But it's this need to fill in the hour. How many of you would recognize the name Lauren Glassman? Do most of you recognize the name?
I don't know that name.
Okay. Would you know her ex-husband, Greg Glassman?
Oh yeah.
Okay, Lauren and I have become very good friends. We were good friends before, and we've become very good friends in the last 10 years. She sent me all the original CrossFit templates. the original stuff. And basically the original program was 10 to 15 minutes of walking on a treadmill. At the end of the workout, 10 to 15 minutes of global stretching. You know, the Anderson stretching series, if you guys, you know, it's an older book, but you had a series of 14 or 15 stretches you should do for 1 minute, you know. And in between, Greg would literally at the start of every day put together, he would take that his little matrix, and he might as well have just thrown the dart against the board. And so today our special workout is going to be squats, triceps extensions, and ab mat sit-ups. And that was your special workout. As many rounds as possible, as many reps as possible, or make it up. And that's actually not a bad way to go. And of course, every single client was the exact same that day. That's not a bad way to go. It was random, but it had other factors. The problem was this, like all programs, he had this terrible need to feel like he had to fill in the hour. A lot of people I'm charging, I don't know what you guys charge an hour, but say like you charge, you're cheap. You charge $1,000 an hour. Is that normal for most of you? Little low, little too low. Low. So, you have this client, you're charging this awesome amount of money. So you feel like for 59 minutes and 59 seconds, you better have them go, right? Josh Hillis sits down with his clients first thing, and he makes them pull out their food journal, and then they walk through the food journal. How much time does it take? Well, if the client didn't fill out the food journal for the week, here's my date today. If the client didn't fill out the food journal for the week, then they have to backfill it in. It might take 45 minutes to fill out that food journal because Josh thinks the food journal is most important. What do you do for warm-ups? This need to fill in the hour is a problem because what it takes us away from is true mastery. If the person doesn't understand squatting, spending 35 minutes of workout teaching them squatting is going to do wonders for their ass. I got to tell you that. The practice of these movements is as exhausting as doing them in any kind of workout you throw together, you cobble together. So one of my knocks on one of the things I think I can help personal trainers with is getting out of this this goose stepping idea that it has to be every second has to be planned for the entire hour, and that everything has to be done according to the plan. Plans don't work after the first seconds of combat. Okay, your plan, you've got to be hyper flexible so that the plan that you sort of had written down might not just work out for the day. When I watch I've watched a lot of personal trainers train. In fact, I think I'm pretty experienced in watching a lot of people go. And very soon it becomes therapy where the personal trainer and the client just dialogue about their week, about their life, about their kids, about their relationships. And of course, often the client, the personal trainer have a relationship later on. And to me, when I watch that, I'm like, we're not therapists, man. We are people who train the physical. And one of the ways you can cure yourself of becoming a therapist is by focusing on the movements of the person and drills and ideas to improve it. The whole hour, let me tell you, if you practice something, teach and practice something like the Turkish get-up, it can take 30, 35, 40 minutes. Teaching the goblet squat might take 15 or 20. Teaching that in the middle, I think we got to get back to making sure we're always teaching somewhere in our classes, somewhere in our groups. Okay? Those are just a quick three that came up.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Questions? Who has one? There's got to be.
I don't have a question, but I kind of have a comment.
Go for it, Wes.
Okay. Well, it's just funny because what you just said about the taking up the 59-59 is I pull a lot of my personal training clients from classes. And that's my biggest barrier, is breaking them down of, constantly go, go, go. I have to be huffing and puffing and sweating nonstop in order to have a good workout. That's like the biggest barrier I have right now. Anyway, that's all.
So if I can comment, why don't you piece together practice sessions in your workouts?
Right.
Today we're going to practice what kind of training do you do? Just give me some piece of equipment you use and some training. Let's.
Anything that ends in bell usually. So barbell, dumbbell, occasionally kettlebell, occasionally isolating machines like maybe a leg press or pull-ups, ropes, stuff like that.
The stuff like in the machine world, you could probably teach that pretty quickly, but how long is it to practice the deadlift, to practice the bench press, to practice the back squat, to actually just practice it? I tell you this, if you spend 35 minutes with Edna practicing the back squat and going over clues and fixes, even with just the bar, she's going to do a lot of reps. Today we had a hard workout because we were practicing the kettlebell snatch. So we did drills for about half an hour. So once a minute, we were doing 6 to 20 swings a minute. And then I'd comment and we'd add another drill. And then I'd comment and we just kept going and going. It's an exhausting workout. You get all your sweat in, but you're not working out, you're training. And it's brilliant. I would take a piece of paper and write out a list. Man, you need a lot.
Right, and that's
okay. Can I comment on a couple things real quick? When I evaluate a training program, the first thing I do is I look at the push, pull, and squat numbers, and I insist that they're all almost the exact same. So if you're doing 10 by 10 in the bench press and 10 by 10 in the military, you'd better be doing 200 pulls and 200 squats. Now, no one does that. That's one. Number two is when you list out I take your exercises and I list them into the push, the pull, the squat. Very often what you'll find at gyms is especially with men who design programs, you might have 12 different press variations. You might have 5 different press variations and you back squat. One of the best things you can do for yourself is get a list. Okay, you got the 12, try to get more pulls, but try to expand that squat variations out to maybe 5 or 6 and teach the people how to front squat, practice the overhead squat, learn the Zercher, or however you're going to do this, but use that practice time to learn the lifts you want to teach them to train with down the road. So what you're getting here is you're getting bang for the buck. A, you are making yourself a better coach because you're coaching. B, you're beating the living shit out of these poor clients physically, and they're getting hot and sweaty, but their brain doesn't know it. Time goes by fast during the practice sessions. It's stunning to think of how fast. We generally train, we go in 3 or 5 minute blocks of a workout, and 3 minutes working out sucks. But 20 minutes or 30 minutes of a snatch, which has more work, more load, more volume than those 3 minutes that we're timing, it's just the weirdest thing. But that's how we're wired, man. So that's how it goes. I hope that was helpful.
Thank you. No, very, very, very helpful.
Who else, guys? Wes, can you mute yourself again, man, so you don't make a bunch of noise? Thanks, buddy. Who else we got?
I don't know if Colin can unmute himself, so maybe unmute Colin. If you were asking anything, Colin, we couldn't hear you.
Anybody else? We got 10 minutes. We should use these pretty wisely.
You just want to use questions from the group? That's fine.
Well, one thing that when we talked the other day, Dan, you talked about, and I know that you have in books as well, but I thought it was pretty cool to hear you say it. you talked about vertical community and horizontal community.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, it ties us back to the idea of how do we keep a client base?
Right.
And so I'm in a financial situation that is pretty good. I don't charge for training, which might not be something a lot of you can afford. So that's free. But one thing I insist on is that at 9:30 every day, we have our group come together. Most of you should know, I write about it a lot. And we call it the intentional community. But what a lot of people miss is that when we look at our community, and it's funny because we know we have all the special operations guys. We've got 2 guys from Major League Baseball, NFL guy, a woman who's 72. We have lots of young college kids who are trying to learn. The University of Utah now is sending a bunch of those kids down. There's another school to the south that sends them, but I kick their asses out. Actually, I'm nice to them too. But the idea is that when a 72-year-old woman is working with a guy with a Super Bowl ring, the guy with the Super Bowl ring learns a whole bunch. So that's one of the goals of intentional community. Okay, that's great. The other thing is, if one of you is working on a goal, like you want to get certified in kettlebells, we all train with you to get certified. You follow? If I have an Olympic lifting meet, a lot of people will do some of the stuff I'm doing, but everyone will support me with my goal. You follow intentional community. But there's 2 sides of intentional community people often miss. One is the vertical, okay? So in my gym, I expect you to know who Percy Sarity is, the great Australian coach. My coach, Dick Nottmeyer, who changed my life. I dedicated my last book to him. Coach Ralph Maughan from Utah State. These are people that had profound impacts on my career. Even though they're not with us that day, they are with us in the gym. We name a lot of workouts after, like the Steve-O is named after Steve Ledbetter. The Hangover workout is named after him. The Humane Burpee comes from Dan Martin. So no one I have in my gym right now has ever met Dan Martin, but they all know who Dan Martin is. So one of the things that's a good idea in your gym environment is to have the mentors and people who change your life mentioned every so often. I got this from Chad. And Chad, here's the story about this workout. Okay. On the other hand, we also believe in the horizontal community. I've already mentioned it. It's having a Navy SEAL workout with a 72-year-old woman, which is fun to watch. It's having a frat boy work out with a guy who's a Navy SEAL. And the frat boy wants to be a Navy SEAL when he grows up, but doesn't realize the guy he's training with is a special operator. And they're training together, and the guy destroys it. It's hilarious to watch. But we also believe in fundraisers. Like, I hope if you have a gym at Thanksgiving or this time of year, get people to bring in a canned food or get lined up with Toys for Tots with Marine Corps. Get yourself involved in community causes. One thing that's really a good idea, it's so simple, but if your gym is, say, right here, okay, and across the street is an eyesore, if you're allowed, is to get one day, a Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, I provide the gloves as we clean up the area. It is the ownership of your clients when they clean up, make things look better. It's stunning. Now, you guys might not agree with that. You might have some other issues, but at least offer it out. It's stunning to clean up an area. Blood drives are great. I'm doing a workshop this weekend for Brendan. How many of you are aware of this workshop I'm doing in Connecticut? I mean, I don't know if you guys are. It's a great thing. My wife and I are donating heavily to this cause because it's the horizontal community. The guys over at Mike Boyle Jim and I, we're friends, and when one of them gets hurt, if I'm truly his friend, we step up. Okay, so those are the 2 things I'd like you to think about. And the other thing I want you to think about is every so often naming a workout after one of your clients. Or if someone's going through, like one of my guys, this is a tough one, young guy, 35. I'm 58, so 35 is childlike. And he's got leukemia, and he shows up when he can, and he keeps telling me that the only good thing in his life right now is this silly little workout. And, you can't help but stop yourself and say, my God, this is bigger than we are. There will be workouts in the future. I'll just give you his first name for now, but Ben. They'll be named after Ben. It'll be like, you guys at least will know the story, of the impact this man. He shows up to train after these sessions because it makes him feel loved and welcomed. He's got a wife and family, but we're a judgment-free zone, and we just care about making him feel better. So I want you to think about those two things. I think it's got a huge impact. And the funny thing is, you have a huge impact when you look at your checkbook. That's an odd thing to say. I know that's a weird thing to say. But I learned this from Earl Nightingale when I was young. When I got back from the Middle East, I was not doing well. I had some problems. The one I talk about all the time is the liver parasite, but there's some other things. And I went to the library, and I'd go for walks, and you guys wouldn't even know what they are. It was called the cassette recorder. And listen to cassettes. And Earl Nightingale made a point about the easiest way to find out your value is to look at your income. I know it's a terrible thing to say. We shouldn't talk about money. But the oddest thing I've noticed is that the more we give of our time, treasure, and talents, the more we reflect the teachings of our mentors, the more we talk about the future with guys like Ben, it reflects in your income, oddly. I'm the worst salesman the world's ever seen, but everything I just told you is the best selling I know.
That's awesome.
That's pretty profound. Good. Thanks, Dan.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Guys, we have a couple minutes. Does anybody have anything they want to add, subtract, delete, question?
Can you hear me, Todd?
Yeah.
Hey, I just wanted to ask Dan, are his thoughts on his quadrant still the same, or has he expanded on those thoughts since him and Pavel wrote that book, Easy Strength, which was my first exposure to quadrants, and then I saw it again in Intervention and other places. But I was just wondering, are his thoughts still current, or does he have new thoughts on his quadrants? And if so, would he mind sharing?
I wouldn't even say it's a true addition, but I've tried to make quadrant 3 smarter. So quadrant 3 now has what I call A squared and E squared. They're pretty simple. Active athletes in quadrant 3 are called Q3 A squared, active athletes. And that's what the title of the book, Can You Go? Because I assessed an active athlete with, can you go? And that's it. And then, and quadrant 3 active athletes, their time with me in the weight room, the fundamental human movements, get them as strong as they need to get, and then thank you very much, go do your sport. And then everybody else is in quadrant 3 too. And that's the one, there'll be some noise here, sorry. Hello! Quadrant 3, everybody else, and that's where the 1, 2, 3, 4 assessment comes from. And from there, I then break people into 7 categories, depending on how they respond to the answers. And the categories are, if your waistline is over half your body, so if you're 72 inches, if it's over 36, you're a body comp client. If you need more than one pillow, you are a mobility client. If you can't hold a 2-minute plank, you're a strength client. Now, that gives you, those are the 3. It's much more than that, but I'm just giving you the
Sure.
That gives you 7 categories. A 7 is someone who failed all 3 tests. And the 7, so quadrant 3, E squared 7, those are the people who are convinced they have the most free will in the world. I could do anything I set my mind to. Really? How about drinking 2 glasses of water a day? Ooh, that's so yes. So I haven't changed the thing. I got to tell you, of all the stuff I've done in my career, I'm as proud as the quadrants and that 1, 2, 3, 4 assessment, because it solved kind of a riddle I was struggling with. I got tired of answering everything. It depends. And so now I feel like I'm in a place where I can answer questions with a much more illuminating answer than it depends. And so now I can break you into your quadrant 3, E squared 6. So boom, here's what you need to do to train. I know Dave Hall has seen my workshop on this, and it's in the book Can You Go, which I think is my best book, even though Never Let Go sounds better. Yeah.
Great.
Was that okay?
That was great. I'm just still trying to figure out how to communicate so my voice gets heard on this app thing. So I was talking the whole time, reaffirming what you were saying, but I don't think you were hearing any of it. But that's okay. I thought it was great, and I do have the book. Can You Go? I just haven't had the opportunity to dig through it yet. So as I do that, I'm sure it'll help tie some things together for me as well.
What, you got my email. Email me when you finish it. Dan@danjohn.net. Please, all of you. There's anytime you want. And just, let me know what your thoughts are on it, okay? And see if I really did expand on it, okay?
I absolutely will. Thank you very much.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Cool. Great. Well, it's 3:02. If you guys got to run off, let's run off. If not, Dan, you have a minute? You haven't taken any more questions or anything?
Sure, I'll take a few more. I'm going to have to deal with a few things, but I'm good.
Yeah. If you guys have anything else, let's do it real quick while we got them.
Well, first of all, I just wanted to say that was great. I love to hear about that vertical and community and the horizontal community. I think that was great. I love the naming the workout after clients. I mean, I know it's like kind of a little CrossFit, but it definitely
we were doing that.
It brings people together.
Doing that long
before CrossFit. Yeah, it's true.
Long.
Yeah. But I'm just saying that people start taking that on to mean that. But I think that's great, and I'm actually doing a Toys for Tots fundraiser with our holiday party, and I think it's a great cause. So
that's awesome.
That's awesome. So, I did have a quick question. One of my trainers, I told her that I was going to be on a call with you, and she's a big fan. She's done internships at Boyle. She's done internships at Cressy and stuff. She's really knowledgeable. She loved to hear your take on carries, and when she knows you're a big fan of carries, and how you program them in. I know that what you said is basically you could probably put them in anywhere for any type of reason. So it kind of answered that. But if you
time to go through an intelligent answer.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Do you guys know what fractals are? FRACTL. Fractals.
Yeah.
So mountain looks like this. They look the same. A leaf looks like a leaf. If you look back, looks like a tree. So that's what fractals are. I didn't explain it well, but look up the word. So when I train people, one of the things I try to do is look at their goal. So if you have someone who's a thrower or someone who has to finish strong, like for example, throwers, we start off at the back of the ring. We accelerate, and then the forces gather a little bit, and then we finish hard. If that's how your sport is, then I would always put loaded carries at the end of the workout, okay? Because that's where you want to finish hard, finish fast, last throw, best throw, whatever the mantra is for your sport. Now, if you have a general client, so this is going to be weird. So we start with general clients in my gym. We start with rolling drills in the beginning because that's what childhood's like. And then we like to start with the workout rolling at the end or doing original strength original strength basically is how we finish the workouts. So you start rolling and you finish rolling, it's life. And then as the workout, we start the workout, we climb, and then we do half kneeling. The workouts end, just before we finish, we do bird dogs, okay? And in the middle of the workout is when, see how it's kind of reflects life a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay, you see the fractal? So with the general client, I like to put loaded carries in to the middle of the workout, if you will. So that's the hard part of the workout. And here's the other thing, folks, is make sure people know that after that hard part of the workout, you tell them the hard part of the workout is finished. Now you're going to worry about rotary stability. You're going to worry about mobility. You're going to worry about all those great things we can do in the weight room. So that would be your bird dog family, and all your correctives can be done after that pyramid, okay? So it depends on what the person is needing. Now, you got to be careful, because most people think that their sport looks like that, you know, and they don't. They tend to fluctuate. That's why, like when I'm training throwers, we do a drill early in the training session that's fairly technical, fairly difficult, and then we ease off into some real basic drills again. And then we try to finish last throw, best throw, okay? Because that reflects the fractal, the model of what we're trying to do. So what we're trying to do in the gym, we're trying to have our best throws at the end of their career, best throws at the end of the season, best throws at the nationals. You see how it all ties in? So the fractal idea is something worth taking your time on, okay? That's my knock against the way they train college football players with, you know, I think they should have more, you know, this is how you probably want your college football season to go, you know, and finish good. You know, people think that you're going to start here, you know, and
Never happened.
look, you know, there's not an NFL team who could ever say we're peaking for the Super Bowl. You'd laugh them out of the room. There's only 2 of the 32 go, you know. So I'm in the best shape of my life on a beach in Malibu, you know. So I hope that was helpful.
That was awesome.
Remember, with me, the answer is always going to be
What's the goal?
a model, a goal, something symbolic, something that you can. So I don't want to get into it. I could have said just it depends, but that's not a good answer. So by knowing the client's goal allows you, because by the way, farmer walks and sleds, work capacity. You want to make sure you put that high work capacity stuff in an appropriate place in the workout. We put a lot of junk conditioning in the beginning just to get it out of the way. You know, junk conditioning, you know, 500-meter rows. Junk.
Good. Guys, anything else? All right. Well, I think that was great. So thank you, Dan. That was awesome, man. Really appreciate all your time. Ton of
Thank you
information.
so much, Dan.
Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. And Dan,
Thank you very much.
danjohn.net, and I'll be able to answer any questions. And if you guys are in the States, my phone number is 801 and then 288-9180. Sometimes it's just as easy to call, okay?
Good. Yeah, and
Thank you so much.
What's the last part of that phone number?
I have it. If you guys need
We're
it.
only giving it once.
I have it.
Yeah, you know what? The rest of the guys
Good
are
job,
doing it right now. They're going,
Happy holidays, Dan. Really appreciate
Hey
it.
guys, if you can, make it to Connecticut to see Dan this weekend. He's doing a great thing for Brendan. So if you're in the Northeast, get to RTS and spend the day up there. We're trying to raise money for our friend Brendan, who really needs a lot of help. So
all right.
thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
See you.
You bet my best.